There are a number of us who have multiple dogs in our household, and sometimes those dogs don't always get along as well as we'd like them to. Have you guys ever experienced conflict between multiple dogs? Tell me in the comments below. If you want to learn everything I know about dog training, make sure you're subscribed to my channel. When dogs have difficult or complex relationships with one another, I want to give you my advice as to what I would do if I were in your position. Ideally, for those of you watching who are thinking about getting another dog, it's important to consider before bringing a dog into your family whether or not they're likely to get along with your dog. We want to consider things like their personalities, their energy levels, and their play styles. And sometimes it's really important to take those initial introductions very slowly. Yeah, like a good girl. Let them smell each other. This is all very nice at first. And fortunately, Chop is being quite respectful. We also want to be one step ahead of our dogs and prevent things that are likely to cause conflict. For example, a really common reason for conflict amongst dogs are resource guarding issues. Maybe one dog is playing with a toy, the other dog wants to play with it also. And so before you know it, you've got a dog fight on your hands, and that's no fun. So initially, we want to make sure that we teach each dog one-on-one how to manage their resources, make sure they're comfortable with having the other dog around and so forth. For those reasons, it's a good idea that when they eat in separate areas and that they sleep in separate areas, just so you can ease them in and not provide too much stress at once. If you are struggling with resource guarding, I've made videos on that in the past. You can easily do a YouTube search for my recommendations there. Rather than trying to go in there and take a bone from your dog and risking getting snapped at, it's a good idea to manage that. And of course, if you already have this issue with your dogs, these are things you can do retroactively. Prioritize your obedience, make sure you're very consistent and that every dog knows how to sit and stay and lie down or give the other dog space. You'll really want to focus on polishing that communication. I think it's also important to make sure that each dog has their one-on-one time with you. Don't insist that you play with the dogs as a pair all of the time. Give them those separate training sessions, and we want to recognize our dog's individual needs. If and when dogs do play, it's vital that we are observing them and supervising them and looking for any potential signs of stress or aggression from either or both dogs. Ideally, we would intervene before any conflicts would break out so the dogs have a chance to relax, take it in, take a break, and then maybe play again or not, depending on their relationship. Inertia has learned that she can come up to me if she needs separation from a dog. I like that she does that naturally. See that? I won't. Good girl. And I want to let her know that I'm here to protect her as well. She feels safe near me. Good girl. And I've got a history with Inertia. I know her very well, and I feel like she'll be more secure if he's a little bit more stable. And as long as I keep Chop from coming on too strong, Inertia seems to trust me to intervene on her behalf. Regular exercise along with other mental activities that keep them satisfied are really important. For example, we like to exercise our dogs early in the day, play fetch with them so that they feel physically satisfied and they have the mental satisfaction of performing a task along with a human being. For other dogs, that might look like basic training or doing some trick training early in the day or a really nice structured walk with some fun experiences planned. These activities are likely to reduce stress with our dogs, therefore making conflict less likely in many instances. It's so important that in these cases that when we do find our dogs behaving acceptably in the company of one another, whether that's a productive play session or the fact that we have one dog across the room while the other one is staying here when they otherwise found that challenging, that we recognize those successes for our dogs and try to provide positive outcomes in order to ensure that those acceptable behaviors are likely to be repeated later on. And we really want to do our best to understand the underlying causes as to why our dogs may not be getting along with one another. Is it fear related? Do they have territorial issues? Is it resource guarding? Sometimes it's not always easy to figure out, so it's always a good idea to bring a professional in who does use modern methods and does not use aversive dog training methods. As we know, aversive methods are outdated and are not recommended by any relevant academic body to the profession of dog training in the 21st century. It's essential that we control the environment. And there are many ways to do this. You could have baby gates to keep dogs separate as you work on their issues. These are what we call management solutions. So we can bring an immediate stop to the behavior by sensibly managing our dogs. Sometimes it's necessary to keep the dogs in separate rooms as you diagnose and work through these issues and avoid overwhelming them. We don't want to just insist that our dogs get over it. And remember, if you physically punish behavior, say a scuffle does break out and you try to discipline the dogs, all we're doing is escalating the matter, and that doesn't really address the root cause. So management, not physical punishment, is the answer, followed by a productive plan that's likely to keep both dogs happy, safe, and have a good quality of life. Desensitizing the dogs, in other words, getting them very comfortable with being in the presence of one another while behaving in acceptable ways, even if separated, is a great place to start. And also counter-conditioning them. We want to change our dog's association once we've identified the root causes. For example, if they're fearful and over time we show them there's nothing to be scared of and we can create a more neutral response from one or both of the dogs, this is moving us in the right direction. Another activity that might be helpful for some are to do parallel walks between the two dogs. So if a partner could walk one dog while you walk the other one, and they can enjoy a walk together while in the same general area, we're racking up those instances and those minutes of acceptable behavior while in the presence of one another. This establishes a nice precedent for them to build on and understand one another and how to behave contextually better. We want to do our absolute best to create a calm atmosphere for our dogs, one that is as free of stress as possible. We want to encourage our dogs to relax and to feel comfortable at all times if we can. And we have to mention that some dogs are going to have issues where they may not ultimately get along with other dogs. Genetics can play a heavy role in this in addition to environment. And for some dogs, it might make more sense for them to be in another home that's more appropriate for them. It's important to always look at what's going to be in the best interest of our dogs for them long term. Training your dog can go a long way. I want to share with you one of my favorite dog training products. Pupbox sends evidence-based monthly training guides, front and back every month, along with the things you need to train your dog. Whoa, hello. To help you with things like crate training, potty training, socialization, grooming tips. This one has leash walking tips. Toys come out and nurse is ready. This box really works. That's an engaged dog. These supplies, toys, and treats are perfect for positive reinforcement dog training. That's what's on the inside of this. If you're dealing with teething or unwanted chewing, these are the bomb.